Welcome to Defcon 3. I'm KT McFarland. The U.S.-led coalition against ISIS has been targeting the group's chemical weapons infrastructure for months. But apparently it isn't enough, because over the weekend, ISIS fighters launched 2 chemical attacks in a town in northern Iraq. They killed a 3-year-old girl and they injured hundreds of people, according to the Iraqi officials. So, what's our strategy to stop these attacks? Joining me with analysis is Hipp, Chairman of American Defense International. Well, welcome, Van. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so you've been warning about the terrorist attacks of a different variety. You've warned about cyber terrorist attacks, about chemical attacks, again, and about biological attacks. What can you tell us about this recent chemical attack?
Well, it's definitely mustard agents, and we know that ISIS has been pursuing a chemical weapons program for some time. They actually, KT, set up a whole division of ISIS to actively pursue manufacturing chemical weapons last year. It's very obvious that we got a lot of good intel with the recent capture of one of the ringleaders of their chemical weapons program, Sulaiman Daoud al-Bakr, which has helped, I believe, lead to some of the airstrikes that we have recently undertaken in Mosul, where we believe that they've actually been taking mustard agents and putting them in artillery shells. But that's the big question: where do they get this stuff? Don't forget, Syria had 1,300 metric tons of chemical weapons we know about. So they're probably getting some of those in areas that they've captured in Syria, as well as manufacturing it on their own.
You know, Van, the question always is, well, that's over there. What about over here? Does the United States or the homeland, do we have anything to fear in the sense of ISIS launching chemical attacks in the United States?
KT, our own FBI tells us that they have had a number of attempts on American soil of homegrown terrorists here in America who have tried to manufacture and distribute chemical and biological weapons. That's why I've been so, back to when Duncan Hunter authored the Secure Fence Act of 2006, I've been all about securing the borders of this country. They know how to get here. And it's not just bad people coming in, it's bad things coming into America. And then how do they can come across our borders. The FBI is telling us they're here in America, and oh, by the way, there have been a number of attempts to manufacture these types of weapons here. And then look at the launch vehicles, how they would launch types of attacks like this. We've got no land-based missile defense on the East Coast. It's just a combination of things that we've got to do and be smart to thwart these kinds of attacks. The problem is we are always responding to that last attack rather than thinking outside the box to prevent the next one.
All right, well, how do we think outside the box then to prevent the next cyber attack or the next chemical attack in the homeland?
A couple things. With cyber, one of the biggest problems, KT, is we need about 30,000 true cybersecurity experts in America to thwart the worst kind of attack. We've only got about 1,000. I call for the establishment of national security scholarships in our colleges and universities to recruit the very best and brightest American minds in data security, cybersecurity, you name it. And then we've got to distinguish between what the Islamists do with their cyber attacks and the Chinese. The Chinese are about espionage, the Islamists are about sabotage. You need different countermeasures for each. We've got to have a land-based missile defense on the East Coast. One thing I talk about too, KT, they are killing us on social media. We've got to take the fight to them. I call for the establishment of a situational awareness hotline, completely separate from 911. So when you in real time see something suspicious, rather than being just ever vigilant, which the government tells us to do, you can be actively involved. You could text in real time a photo of bad behavior on Twitter, Facebook, you name it, or down the street in your neighborhood to the Counter-Terrorism Center, so we could connect the dots, compare it to photos in that database, hopefully thwart an attack, and help improve situational awareness during an attack. Those are the kinds of common sense things we need to be doing.
But, aren't we doing, in fact, isn't government doing just the opposite? That if you do see something and you say something, then you're accused of being a bigot. You could even be sued for being anti-this or anti-that because of political correctness.
You're so right. Political correctness is literally killing us. Don't forget, Nadal Malik Hassan, the Fort Hood terrorist, FBI had 18 emails between him and Anwar al-Awlaki, the head of al-Qaeda in Yemen, and did nothing, all because of political correctness. So political correctness is absolutely killing us. And that's another reason why I call for this situational awareness hotline. Just think if the person down the street in San Bernardino, when they saw what was going on down the street, think if they had used that kind of capability.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. That's Hipp, chairman of American Defense International, and he's author of the new book, The New Terrorism, How to Fight It and How to Defeat It. If you want more, go to Van Hipp's website, and if you want more on the whole topic, go to foxnews.com.